Hey, hi, good evening, guys. My name is Anand. I represent a company called Anvis. We are into pet services, including relocation, and that's why we are here today to talk a little bit about pet relocation and things to keep in mind before you relocate with your pet. I am also a part of a pet education company called Alpha, where we are very passionate about sharing all the experiences, information that we have, garnered over the last decade or so. It's called Alpha. You guys may want to check that out. It's called the website is called alpha.andesing.com. Uh, just waiting to wait for some more folks to join in. We do have a very interesting topic today, and I thought the reason that perhaps we should be doing this because we do have the relocation. We do help with pet relocation, right? And this pet relocation is been around again for about 8 9 years or so. And over the last so many years, we have had so many people asking us so many questions. Some people are super prepared, some people are unprepared. End of the day, I think because there is a lot of stress and pressure on the pets as well, it's important. We thought that maybe we'll lay down some ground rules. I mean, share this with people who are looking to probably relocate in the next few months, just so that I think you understand what is in store and things to keep in mind. Also, given that we are in the middle of a pandemic, it's all the more important that we need to be super prepared because things are changing by the day. Suddenly, there are certain airlines that are flying, certain are not. Connections have changed, routing has changed, lot of policies have changed, etc. So on and so forth. So hence this video, guys. Hopefully it does benefit. You guys can keep putting in the questions. I would love to take questions and see how many of those I can answer. If I cannot answer them during the live session, I'd probably come back onto the comment section a little later, and then I will try and answer them. Right. Um, just waiting, just waiting to see if we have quite a few people joining in. Uh, yeah. So guys, I mean, even if you have questions now, please go ahead and you can type it in the comment section. As in how we approach that topic, I will try and cover. Although I need to tell you guys that this is a broad overview that I'm doing, right? If I get too many very specific questions, and relocation is not something like a one size does not fit all. So it's very very important that I have enough information before I can advise. Obviously, we don't want to be just doling out advice without understanding. And I will touch upon a couple of examples on how one works for one person, one pet to the same destination may or may not work for another person, same destination. Right. Specific, I don't know if I will try my best, but generic, of course, right, I will be able to touch upon this. Okay, so let's start. I think we have quite a few viewers in, and I'm going to start. A first step, right? I think one of the really important things that I always tell people is first step is to research uh, the destination country that you're going to. Really, 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 really important about researching. Right. So why would you want to research? Because there are some countries, all countries have got different regulations. Some countries have got waiting times. Some countries have got, that you may need to do some tests. There are certain countries that will take in pets only during certain parts of the year, maybe because of heat embargo, cold embargo, a lot of things, right? So research, understand your breed, your specific breed. Sometimes will probably will have there are certain breeds of dogs and cats that are not allowed in certain countries, that come under restricted list. So understand your breed, understand whether that pet is going to be allowed into that country, right? Very, very important, because I'm sure when you're traveling or when you're relocating, it's you're relocating for perhaps work, or you're relocating for good, and you would want to really uh, understand whether that country is welcoming of your specific pet, right? Another important thing when I would like is just not from here, from not from the origin side, and for the purpose of this session, I am trying to keep it from India to outside India, right? So I'm not talking domestic, I'm talking international relocations only. Import is a complete one. Maybe we'll do a different session on imports, but exports, right? So from India to some other country. Another thing when you're researching is, I think this is in sometimes it just happens that we do not get into the other side of things. That is, in the country of that you're going to go, are you able to find pet friendly houses, right? As surprising as it may sound, see, India, we are a country, we have a lot of larger size dogs, labs, golden retrievers, German shepherds, so on and so forth. There are many countries around the world that do not rent out apartments, homes, based on size, right? Above size, they will excuse me, above a certain size, they will not allow pets to stay. So you probably need to go into a bigger thing like a condo or something. Like Singapore is a classic example. There's a size restriction, and I'm given to understand a lot of places in US, Canada have got that kind of a restrictions. Australia is a place where finding pet friendly homes is it can be a can take a little bit of time. So you may want to research this earlier, find out where you can find pet friendly homes. Once you have sort of narrowed down on the pet friendly home in whichever country you're going to, find out you like the closest vet, do some research, find out who you can go to. This is really important. You need to have a good vet in and around who can help once a pet lands. We generally say once a pet lands, take the pet to a vet for a vet check in about a week, 10 days, just to make sure everything is all right. Having a good vet on call is paramount. Also have a support system. Find out where is your closest boarding place. If there are pet sitters who can come in, dog parks that you can take to, and I think the fun stuff, right? Where you can take a dog for. Like, is there a beach that you can go to? Where are the trails that you can take your pets to? Where are the picnic spots you can do? Find all that out, right? I think importantly, you need to put in a lot of time and effort in trying to find out the destination country. Is it conducive to your dog, the kind of upbringing that your dog has, etc. So research is really, really important. So I think we have a question from Rashi who's saying, what are the top few reasons that a pet will be refused entry in the UK? How's British Airways dog transfer record? Rashi, hold on. I think I will touch upon airlines, and I don't know if I can list out top few reasons, but I will try and answer this. Just hold on to that. Giriraj, do you relocate to the US? Yeah, Giriraj, we do relocate to the US. I think somebody from my efficient team has already responded. So yeah, you can reach out to us. I think the contact details are there. You can. Right. So first is research. Point one is do your research not just from regulatory point of view, also from the destination country where you're going to live, vet, support system, and also the fun stuff. And second, and I think it may be slightly controversial, but I'm anyway going to put this out there, is um, I personally, and this is again my recommendation, is if you're traveling out of India, please do spay or neuter your dog. Right? Is it mandatory to spay or neuter for travel? No, it's not mandatory. I don't think any country will, except for certain breeds of dogs. It's not mandatory that you have to spay or neuter. But I personally, having been in the space and having seen the kind of things that dogs go through, I would definitely recommend getting your dog sterilized. Simple things, right? A female, you have planned everything. You're doing your travel, everything has been fixed, and then she perhaps comes to heat. Imagine for her, as it is when they come to heat, they become moody, and then they become irritable, things like, and then we're asking them to sort of travel, and it's not like something that we can make them understand, right? So I think we need to be mindful of the fact that we should try not to. Second is, because airlines will have, if there is space, they will put two, sometimes three pets together. Imagine there is a female in heat and there is another male also right next to the female. It will just for the next whatever number of hours, right, 4 to 10 hours or 12 hours. I think it's just going to be really really horrible for the male dog to be. He can sense that there's a female in heat, and then he was been absolutely used to his crate, etc. But it'll just drive him crazy because it's not him; it's the hormones that's driving him, right? And it could be as simple as that to slightly more complicated stuff like in the destination country, many places across the globe, a lot of you must already be aware of, will not take in pets into boarding spaces, into dog parks, at restaurants, play dates, etc., if the pets are not sterilized, right? So which means to say effectively we are cutting down so many more options for your pet if the pet is not spayed or neutered. So it's important to have your pet spayed or neutered. It's not mandatory for travel, but my personal recommendation is absolutely if you can, and again you need to do this earlier, much earlier before the travel. Do not wait and try and do this closer to date of travel, because again it's not fair. There may be so many things that are happening. I'm sure you guys are doing a lot of things, your travel, etc. So you want to make sure that this paying neuter thing happens much beforehand. My personal recommendation, I would suggest, it just opens up a lot of opportunities, just makes the travel a lot more easier for your dogs. um, third thing, right? So first is research, start early. Second is pay or neuter your pet, my personal recommendation. Third is microchip. Again, there have been a lot of questions on microchip. What is this microchip? Why should we put this? There are certain countries that do not mandate microchip, which is true. There are certain countries that do not require a microchip. But as far as travel is concerned, as far as India is concerned, traveling out of India is concerned, a pet has to have a microchip on them. Um, why do we need to have a microchip? Simple, right? I think, see, as far as we are concerned, we have a name for our dogs and we know our dogs. We're saying, okay, this is whoever, Elsa, for example. But as far as any regulatory government authorities, they say, and then you say, hey, Elsa has been vaccinated and has got her tests and everything has been done. They will be like, I don't know who is Elsa. What is the proof that this is Elsa, the same dog that is being shown in the health booklet? What is a foolproof method? The microchip, right? So the microchip, and probably I will use my. So this is basically, I can show you, right? I have a. This is what. So this is not the whole microchip. Basically, this is the whole syringe, and the microchip is actually here, right? So this is a small microchip is the size of a rice grain. So it's sitting somewhere here. So what happens is that, like an injection, this is inserted in the nape of the neck of a dog. So here you'll see the microchip number, right? So it will say here, right? This is the microchip number. This is the type of microchip, ISO 11784-785. This is the one that is widely recognized, and if you notice, it's 15-digit numeric, right? That's the kind of microchip that we need. Where does this microchip get inserted? I'm going to take the help of my little fellow here. You can meet, I don't know, we'll call him Tyson. Okay, so where does the microchip go? Typically, the microchip is inserted here, right? Nape of the neck. Sometimes they'll shave the skin here. The skin is lifted, and the microchip is implanted here. How do you read this? And before you go ahead into do that, thanks, Tyson. Right, good boy. Before you go ahead, you need to read the microchip. This is a what we call as a microchip scanner. And I can probably show this. I hope it's on. Okay, there you go. And that's your microchip, right? You just have to do this, and then you will see the number here. Sorry. there, right? So it I hope you guys are able to see. I'm not sure if you guys are able to see this, but it matches, right? So that's what we need to do. So before implantation, usually most of the vets will know, they will scan, they will make sure that microchip is reading, implant into the pet, again scan, make sure it's reading, right? So this is your identification that is there for every pet. Now ELSA is now identified by this number, microchip number. Now you have actually named, as far as any government regulation, any government is concerned, now this animal has got an identity. Now, anything that comes beyond that is now connected to the identity. So that's why a lot of countries will say, so that's why a lot of these countries will say that every vaccination that needs to be done has to be done after the microchip has been implanted. Remember this, many countries will expect that your vaccination has to be done after the microchip has been implanted. Reason being, identify the animal. On this identification is the microchip, is a vaccination and everything connected. So make sure that the microchip is first, vaccinations comes in after that, because after that everything gets connected. Okay, so I do have some questions here. I moved my pup 2 month old to my native. He's a little reluctant on his food. Any reasons? Rohan, I think this is something that you may probably want to check with. You may probably want to check with your vet. I'm not sure what's happening on why. Hey, Linus. So Linus is our relocation partner in Singapore. I mean, is just more than a relocation partner. I think he's friend, family, right? Neha, what are the norms for relocating to Canada? Do they have any restriction on breeds? Documentation, Neha, is fairly simple, straightforward when it comes to Canada. No, they do have certain restriction on certain breeds. I don't know what breed you have. I think it'll be easier. I can tell you if your breed is allowed or not. But by and large, I think many countries have got restrictions on mostly what we call as the fighting breeds, the pit bull, that kind of those kind of breeds. But by and large, goldens, labs, pugs, all that should be allowed. Okay, just trying to see if how are the details updated on the microchip? Are these databases international? Is Henry Sachin a good brand? Okay, that's a good question. Are this microchip number, since we're talking of microchip, is this updated on any database? No, it is not updated on any government database. This is just an identification of the animal. However, there are microchip databases that have been, as I'm given to understand, these are private. These are private databases that are maintained, and so you can register with your microchip and your details and your pet details and everything. So in case somebody finds your pet, they will scan the microchip, they will look at it, they will search the database, they will get in touch with you. So this is not a government related, no government maintains it. These are all private databases. I don't know, is Henry Station a good brand? I'm really not sure. There are a lot of brands, as long as it is an ISO 11784785, right? It has to be a 15-digit numeric one. That's the one. And there is also another one called AVID, which is basically 9 or 10-digit. It's alphanumeric. We generally use ISO 11784. It is 15 digits one. Hi, Gayatri says, need info on cat travel to Ireland. He is neutered. Can I take him along every year when I travel to Ireland? Gayatri, good question. Personally, even though I'm in the relocation space, personally, I will not recommend traveling with your pet so frequently. Simple reason being that as much as travel can be simplified and everything, it is stressful. It is stressful on your pet, unless, of course, the only exception I would make is if your cat is able to travel in cabin on certain airlines, and you see that she's not getting stressed about it, about the whole travel bit and the whole airport and the chaos and everything, it's all right. But in any other case, I will really not. I will not recommend too many. Frequent travels is just definitely not recommended. Neha says, I have a Dacian breed. So I don't know, is this something connected to? Oh, Neha said you have to go to Canada, right? Yeah, Dacian, you can take your. It's not banned in Canada, of course. Hi, Loknath. So Loknath is a client turned friend, and I flew with his two dogs to Toronto. When we license the dog in the city, we give the microchip number. So Loknath, yeah, so that's a good update. Loknath is saying he's in Canada. So Loknath says that when they license their when you do the licensing, they do give the microchip number. So they do have that as a part of the licensing process, right? Okay, so moving on, right? So we spoke about microchip. So after microchip is when the vaccinations really come in. So microchip, I mean vaccinations. It's really important to have all your vaccinations updated. And when I say vaccinations, we are talking of anti-rabies. If it's for dogs, DHL-PPI. If it's for cats, you need FRCP. I will also really encourage to start doing the deworming, spot on treatment as soon as you start thinking about travel. Ideally, I would like to say start doing your research anywhere between 4 to 6 months before travel. It's really important that you have enough time because there are certain countries that do have waiting time period, and you need to make sure that you factor in enough time before sort of getting into this. So make sure your vaccinations, deworming spot on, deworming and spot on. Excuse me, deworming and spot on mostly is so that you're keeping your pets free of ticks, fleas, etc. So many countries will require, and we also as a practice, a few days before traveling, we will ensure that you know. We ask people to anyway get the pets deworm, get a spot on and deworming done before travel, just to protect the pet. Even though some countries ask for it, some countries specifically ask, some countries don't, but it's as a good practice we always say let's get it done. So they usually have two deworming spot on treatment just to make sure that they're completely free of ticks and fleas. um, okay, then health test, right? So before I jump into health test, Neha says, "Are you talking about Canada? Then I don't have to get microchip implanted from India." Neha, I'm sorry, I lost the conversation that we were talking of. Um, so you have to get the microchip implanted in India if you're traveling from India uh, to to Canada. You have to get your microchip. I hope I'm answering that question correctly. If you're traveling from India to Canada, although Canada actually says that for microchip may not be necessary in some cases, the regulations are changing all the time, guys. So if a pet has to fly out from India, we have to anyway make sure a microchip is definitely there. So, okay, so health tests, right? So, what are the health tests? Different countries have got different health tests. Some people say that we have to get rabies titer test done. Some other countries require, like Australia requires something called Ehrlichia canis, leptospirosis. There are 4 5 tests that are there. Make sure you understand what these tests are. Your vet will probably be able to help you out on what these tests are. If you're working with a relocator, I think they are the best people. They can tell you exactly what are the timelines, when you need to do this. So make sure you get the test done. The second question from the health test is where do we get these done, right? Because I know in rabies titer also there are certain tests that you can do at local labs, and there are certain tests that you can do. Um, you'll have to send it to EU approved labs, depending on which country you go to, depending on the country's acceptance, etc. So make sure you understand which is acceptable, which is not acceptable. Trust me, in our line of work, we have seen so many uh, people who have, and I don't mean to, and I think this may have probably be done in very good intention, but have reached out to, I don't know, friends, family, social media, etc. They have been guided by these people, again, well intended, saying that okay, this lab will work. It worked for me, and for this country, this is all you need to do. And we have seen that when they are almost ready to fly, or then they're doing the final checks, we find out that that lab is not acceptable. Why? Is because, and that's when they call us frantically saying, hey, what do we do? But what could have been the change? Because regulations change, right? What worked 2 3 years back probably will not work, will not work now. So it's really important to keep up to date with the regulations, right? If you're not aware of the regulations, a lot of things can go really bad. So make sure you're in touch with the right regulations, or if you're consulting with someone who's in the space, they will be able to tell you, because they will be in touch with what is happening. Right. Okay. So Rashi says, do vaccination details have to be manually updated to microchip, or do country of import, in this case, do themselves when the pet lands? So vaccination details are not manually updated on the microchip databases. Microchip database is typically just the microchip number, I think, age, breed, owner details. Those are the more, I think it is just to do with the owners, not too much to do with the vaccination details per se. But again, these are private databases, so some may have vaccination details, but they have no bearing on anything to do from a regulatory standpoint. Akanksha is asking, how do you calm your dogs and cats before the travel, especially the cat? Also, what to do if the dog is claustrophobic? Are there any medicines? Akanksha, very good question. Hang on, let me come to the point where we talk about crate training. I think I will just answer. I should be able to answer that question for you. Right. Okay. So health tests. Make sure you know what are the health tests. Also, make sure where you can get it done correctly. There are many labs. There are many people who can dole out advice, but make sure you got the right thing, because as far as countries are concerned, they are not going to look and say, "Hey, listen, it's all right. You didn't know that you got it done from this lab, or you got a different test done." There are different tests that needs to be done by different methodologies as well, right? And some methodologies will not be accepted even though it's the same test. So countries are not going to be sympathetic and saying that, hey, oh, you did not realize that we had to do it a certain way, but then you did it a certain way. No, they're not going to be. They're just going to say, hey, listen, this doesn't meet our standards, and that's about it, right? And many cases they deport the pets back to the country of origin, so that there's so much double the stress. There's just, it just leads to so much complications, right? So make sure you research, make sure you understand what is right, where can it be done, what are the tests, etc. And just corresponding to that, like I said, waiting time, be prepared for waiting time, right? Many countries will have waiting time from when you do these tests before your pet can enter in. Again, why? Why do countries ask this? This waiting time is in some sense what we call as a cooling period in the home country, because they want to see if there is any reaction, or the pet picks up anything during this time. Because 10 days, typically 10 days before travel, 7 to 10 days before travel, a government authority, authorized by the government of that country, will check the pet and will certify or will notify, saying that this pet is free, and I certify that I had not seen any of these problems. The dog or cat is not showing any symptom of rabies, etc., etc., and then they will send it. So this time period is like a cooling time to see if there is any development, if the dogs or cats pick up any of these things, right? So hence there is a waiting time, and also this waiting time helps you guys to plan your travel, because otherwise what happens is, many a times what happens is, when you're planning your travel, you tend to think that, okay, we have done the test, we have finished this, now we can fly out. No. Right? And suddenly when you realize that, hey, there's a waiting time, it puts all your plans also in some sort of a cyclic loop, right? So make sure you know how much time is there. Like in some countries, like for example to South Korea from India, after you do the test you can fly out, there's no waiting time. But whereas, say, Dubai has got a 3 month, EU has got a 3 month waiting, Australia, Japan, they've got about 6 months waiting. So you need to make sure that you need to make sure that you know which country you're going and what is a typical waiting time. Right. So my seventh point is, so Ramya says, do all countries allow us to take pets with us as excess baggage? Um, no, I think we will touch upon that. But to quickly answer that question, not all countries will allow you to carry pets as excess baggage. And what do I mean by excess baggage, cargo? I'm going to touch upon that. And let me so hang on. So let me, when I reach that, I will clarify that for you as well. Okay, point number seven. What's the next thing I need to do? Crate, right? It's a really, really important thing. Before you do, so what is a crate? Crate is basically a box where your pet can travel in. You have to make sure you get the right size of crate. It is not based on, oh, my dog is a Labrador and is an average Labrador, right? No, it never works that way because we have to go into dimensions. We have to get the length, we have to get the height, we have to get the width. And then there is a quick equation that we put in to say, okay, what is the right size of crate? Airlines, excuse me, airlines will reject pets if if they feel that the crate is small. We as relocators will not even go ahead if we find that it's a small, the crate is a small size crate. You as pet parents do not want to send your pets on a 14, 15, 21, even if it's a smaller journey, you do not want to send your pets in a smaller size crate, yeah. So why would we actually, bring down the crate size? I think, as per my understanding, I think it is just the cost bit. But guys, I think I have to tell you, that's a very small part when it comes to the whole bigger picture, right? A good and good branded crate is definitely required. The right size is definitely required. um, you have to measure. How do I find out what is the right? You have to measure your pet. Once you measure your pet, and if you guys need that, it is there on our website. You can look at it, how to measure our pet. And then you need to buy a good size fiber crate, not those open one, the mesh crates. No, airlines will not accept that. There are many branded crates. Some are good, some are not so good. I'm not going to name the brands here, but we are a big fan of one particular brand of crate which we really like, and a lot of countries across the globe use this particular brand of crate. So we do not want to compromise on that. Reason being, a lot of people ask us, right? It's just one time travel, and then once I'm done, I'm not going to use this crate ever. So why would I want to put so much money into a crate? You have to remember that that crate, that box gets lifted down, sometimes dragged, pulled, etc. At least in every travel, in a single travel without a transit, at least it will happen. In my opinion, it will happen 4 times. Once while loading into the flight, unloading into the flight, or actually it'll happen, it'll probably happen 2 times, right? So it'll loading into the flight and unloading into the flight, but there will be a lot of drag and all that. If there is transit, then that becomes 2, 4, 6 times, right? So when someone lifts a crate and your dog is standing in that crate, you have to make sure that the crate is really good and the base is strong, etc., etc. Flimsy crates may happen, and we have known and heard where, you know crate, because it was a flimsy crate, it was not a good branded crate, things have happened. So we generally recommend a really good crate, a really good branded crate to go with that, and the correct size. You have to figure out the right size. Not a small crate, not a. I wouldn't really say you want a very big crate. You don't want to take like your Shih Tzu in like a large crate where you'll probably take labs and goldens and all that, right? So uh, not a very big size crate, but you may definitely want to look at the right size of crate, right? So crate is really, really important. And to answer someone's question here, I think was this Akanksha? Yeah, Akanksha had asked, right? How do you calm your dogs and cats before the travel? Crate training. You have to ensure that your dog or cat is is trained, right? And we generally say take 2 months. Don't do that in the last 10 days, don't do that in the last 15 days, whatever, right? Don't be in a hurry to get your dog or cat, because dogs and cats will not understand, oh, they're asking me to go into this little box and this is my safety zone, and because I'm going to get flown. How are you going to make that understand? However, dogs and cats always like to go into these smaller surfaces, like closed surfaces where it's dark, right? Where they can touch the surfaces in and around, etc., right? But do it slowly, right? And we have an elaborate crate training document. I think it's available to most people. And you can download the crate training, but crate training reduces the stress on the pets to like a large extent. Once the pets are comfortable in their crate, they are voluntarily going in, they're sleeping in their crate, then we have seen that we do not need to give any kind of external, sort of applications or, medicines and calmers and things like that, right? That becomes their little home, and that travels, their little home travels with them wherever they go. So they're a lot more calmer, they're a lot more comfortable, being in the crate. They are not really trying to break out and go. They're like, oh, this is my home, I'm just going to sit, I'm going to watch. So my answer to that is, uh, a dog or a cat, if they're used to their crate, will actually do a lot better on the travel than a dog that is not used to. We refuse to fly pets that are not used to the crate, right? I have refused many a times. So, or we have pushed the travel, etc., etc. But um, so that is the answer, right? If a dog is claustrophobic, I think it's just about getting the dog used to the crate. So far, I have not heard, or I've not come across a dog that has not got used to a crate. Given that we have put in enough time and effort into it, right? And we have done much older dogs, right? Say 14, 15. I think the oldest dog that we relocated was 16 years or something, and they have all got crate trained. It's just that you need to give them that time, and then slowly build that up. So crate it opens up, so you can do a base and you can have a top. So you introduce them slowly, and then you close it, and then so on and so forth. Crate training, absolutely important, right? I think if you're making a checklist, I think you need to write that, you need to underline that like a few times in a different color perhaps, but make sure that you get the right size crate, right branded crate, fiber crate, and start the crate training, as at the earliest. However early you can, I think that early you should start taking. I hope that answered your question, Akanksha. So, what is the experience of flying in cargo for dogs, especially for breeds like Lhasa Apso? What should a pet owner make sure that they are safe and healthy throughout the journey? Safe and healthy. I think just what we discussed, Rashi, is making sure that crate training, making sure that the pet is used to, comfortable, etc. Experience of flying cargo for dogs. Let me touch upon cargo. What are the options of flying? Right. I think that is just my next topic here. Sudeep says, do countries in the Gulf have more stringent relocation rules? Yeah, unfortunately, Sudeep, the UAE countries have banned a lot of breeds. Unfortunately, my favorite breed uh, is also a part of it. Mastiffs, boxers, lot of so-called common breeds here are sort of banned in the UAE countries. But different countries have got different regulations or banning, and they have their own thought process. So yeah. Okay. So coming to options, that's my eighth point, right? What are the options of flying your pet? I think essentially there are two options. One is you fly with them as accompanied baggage, or in cabin, right? So basically, passenger, along with passenger, you can go in cabin, or you can do accompanied baggage. Accompanied baggage means the pet goes into the hold of the aircraft. In cabin means the pet is with you in the cabin. In cabin, there are certain weight restriction, there are breed restriction, there is route restriction, there are airline restrictions, etc., so on and so forth. Right? Again, you have to plan based on your specific travel. Cargo, what happens in cargo? Cargo or manifest cargo, what happens is your travel is separate, dog's travel is separate. Pet gets checked into the hold of the aircraft itself, but it gets checked into the cargo. We check them instead of the passenger terminal, we check them into the cargo terminal where all the custom clearance, etc., happens, and then they fly. So there are times when, coming back to Ramya's question, where he says that do all countries allow us to take pets as excess baggage? No. Like for example, Dubai says that all pets have to arrive as manifest cargo only, right? So we have to make sure that pet has to go by cargo. There is no other option. Similarly, there are many countries. Hong Kong is one of that. Going into Australia is one. So they all say that I want pets to come in as cargo only. So which means to say that pets have to go as cargo. For others, you have an option of doing, accompanied in cabin. However, again, it's not a given because then it depends on the airline regulation. Some airlines will say, I will carry certain breeds, I will not carry certain breeds. Right? So certain airlines will say, I will carry certain breeds, especially snub nose, you know, um, so which have flat noses, then they have breathing difficulty. So certain airlines will say during certain months, summer months, especially when it's warm, they will not carry snub nose. So you need to be really, you need to really think this through quite a bit, saying that, okay, country will allow, will not allow, what are the options? Do I do cargo? Do I do in cabin? Do I do, accompanied baggage? What are my options, right? And airlines. So not all airlines are pet friendly. So you need to figure out to your country of destination which airline flies, and whether they are pet friendly. And if they are pet friendly, will they allow you to take them as in cabin accompanied, or it is only cargo? So you have to do this permutation combination. I think Rashi had asked, I think, a couple of questions. I'm just going to go back. You had asked me something about which airline. Okay, so yeah, so what are the few reasons that a pet will be house British Airways dog transfer record? So I can't comment on any particular airline's record because very honestly, I don't have any record. But have we sent pets on British Airways? Yeah, we have sent pets on British Airways. Um, Touchwoods, at least as far as we can speak, we have not had any issues. All our pets have reached safe, sound, and good spirits. So we do use British Airways to fly, but again, it is cargo. A top few reasons that a pet will be refused entry into the UK. I cannot list all the reasons, but it is more so documentation, right? So what we discuss is the microchip. Has it been done before? Has the rabies vaccination been done correctly? Validity. Have you waited for the right number of months or whatever before you flew in? Has it been done in the right lab? Does it meet all the restrictions? So it's all about documentation. If you get the documentation right, I don't see any country refusing entry in for any pets, right? It is mostly if the documentation, there is something not okay, we have not understood the regulations, something has not gone on okay, then obviously, right, they're going to check and they are going to tell you. So I think you have a connecting question here. What is the experience of flying dog cargo, especially for breeds like Lhasa Apso? What should so experience of flying cargo we have done, right? Like I said, we have a lot of pets that we have sent to UK, we have sent to Dubai, where we don't have a choice and the pets have to fly as cargo. So we have again touchwood, and we may have done 2000 odd, and I keep saying 2000. I don't know. I think maybe the count must have gone up, but I've really not checked. But we have done a fair number of pets, and uh, and uh, we have not had any problem so far. All pets have reached safe, sound, and have been doing quite all right. Right. So Akanksha has another question: how to calm the cats? They don't like to get into the crate. Um, yeah. So see, cats also, it's the same thing, right? You have to get them used to their carrier much in advance. So you start feeding them in, so they are going inside. Put their toys in, etc., etc. It is possible. We have done dogs and cats in equal measures, and we have not had cat or dog that has not been able to go in. So it's just about spending time and effort in trying to get them used to trying to just get them used to the carrier, right? Umesh asked, what is the process of import pet? Umesh, I think we can probably send you a link on regulations, and import of pets into India also is undergoing a slight change. Not too major, but there is something, and I think maybe we will do another session on imports itself, because like I said, that's a vast subject. But you can read the regulations on our site. I think we can tag that for you. Gayatri is asking, how early should the work start for relocation work? Gayatri, I like to be prepared, right? I like to be really prepared. So I love it when someone comes in and they says, "Hey, listen, I'm looking to travel in 6 months from now." I'd love to have a conversation, with folks like them because we can cover a lot of things, and because we're dealing with so many moving parts, right? Airline regulations, country. Currently, we're looking at COVID situation, all that, right? The more time we have in hand, the more easier, excuse me, the more easier it is for us to plan, have a plan B in place, etc., etc. Should there be a need to sort of change course in the middle? So, but I would suggest 4 to 6 months. I have even had people, and these are people that, I mean, these are just, I think, clients, friends, people like that who have said that, hey, listen, I'm planning to apply for my PR to Australia or Canada or something, and I want to know what the process to take my pet is. I mean, it's definitely heartwarming when we see people saying that, hey, you know, I definitely my pet is a part of my family. We were going to take, and then and if this doesn't work, then probably we look at something else. So the earlier you start, the better it is, right? So I think Akanksha, if you could share any experience of flying cats, pets, sorry, flying cats in cabin. Does Canada also reject pets? I have heard that they are very pet friendly. Uh, I don't know what experience. Yeah, we can. I think if you go to our Facebook page, you will see a lot of pictures of relocation that we have done. So there have been cats that have flown in cabin as well. You can either comment there, or you can reach out to the pet parents. Usually the pet parents are tagged, and they can probably give you their perspective. We can give you our perspective. Does Canada reject pets? Every country will and has got the authority to reject pets. I will straightforward say that, right? If the regulations are not met, any country, and I actually, even though I'm a huge pet person, I've given up my regular job, and then we are into the pet space the last 10 years. I will still support authorities when they say that, hey, listen, we will not take this pet into our country because it doesn't meet our regulations, right? So it is not the country's fault, it is our fault. We need to understand the regulations. We need to make sure that we meet all the regulations. If all the regulations are met, there will be no reason for any country to reject any pet into the country. But if we are not there and not meeting the regulations, I think it is any country, right? It is their duty. The guys who are manning that, it is their duty that they will reject. So it's really up to us, right? And you have the documentation and everything in place. There should be no reason to reject. If not, then there is every reason to reject, right? So I think the last bit, I think, and that's what we have been, this is what I've been talking, is the documentation, right? It's really important to know what documentations are needed. There are endorsement that needs to be done, last 10 days before. There is some countries require documentation to be done and endorsed like one day before. Some require 48 hours before. So there are a lot of, depending on the country, depending on uh, which model or which mode you're flying. So there are it's just, it goes into really minute details, but make sure you understand, right? You may not get to the details of it, or if people are saying, hey, listen, I do not want to get into the details of it, excuse me, if you don't want to get into the details of it, that's fine, but over understand what do I need, right? What are the documents that I need, and have I got that? I always tell, we when we do the documentation, we are always double checking, triple checking. Multiple people are looking at it because it could be 15-digit microchip, right? And then 1 8 can become, say, 9, right? And as far as the country is concerned, that documentation is not correct, right? And that really comes back to, if we are doing it as relocators, that's really us, for us. If you guys are doing it on your own, so you need to really make sure. So documentation is really key, critical. If you follow the documentation to the T, you meet all the regulations of the country, I think should not be a problem. But if you don't, it can be a real big problem. Right. So that's that, guys. Just to quickly summarize, right? I think we are also running out of time. This is supposed to be like a 30 or a 40-minute session. I think it's gone up to 50 minutes. But I think for the guys who joined in slightly late, I just want to quickly summarize. I think the first step is research. understand what regulations, that country, vet, housing, blah, blah, all that, right? My personal recommendation, point number two, personal recommendation, Spain, new to your pet. It just opens up a world of opportunities for them when they go into the new country. Microchip your pet, vaccinate your pet according to the country regulation, get everything done, including, anti-rabies, DHLPP for cats if it's FRCP, deworming, spot on, the works. Documentation in terms of if there are any health tests, get the health test done, where you have to get it done, make sure, and what are the tests, you kind of need to know. Prepare for waiting time. There's almost always a waiting time that is there. Prepare for waiting time. Make sure that you are prepared for the waiting time so that you are able to plan better. Crate, cannot stress enough, crate and crate training, right size of crate, brand of crate, crate training, right? Give it sufficient time. Your dog or cat will not understand that they have to travel, and you cannot just tell them, hey, you have to travel and just get used to your crate. That's not going to happen. So give them enough time and get them slowly used to the crate. Find out the different options of flying with your pet. There is accompanied baggage, in cabin, and then there is manifest cargo, or simply cargo. Find out which country will allow what options are there for you, which works the best for you, and then go with that. Figure out the airlines. Not all airlines are pet friendly. Even the pet friendly airlines have got different kind of regulations. Some have got summer embargoes, some will not take on certain temperatures, some have got breed restrictions, some have got size restrictions, so on and so forth. So understand all that. Last but not the least, I think, is documentation, right? Make sure you spend enough time on documentation, get every documentation that you need. You have to get it right, because we get the documentation correctly. I don't think there should be any problem of any pet entering into any country as long as we meet the rest of it, right? So yeah, so that's that, guys. I hope you guys found this informative. If you have further questions, you can either drop a message here, or you can even reach out to us through our website. Like I was saying, we also do one-on-one consultation through our alpha site. It's called alpha.anvising.com. We can do a one-on-one consultation for specific flying options. You can look at that. You can also reach out to us through our pet relocation website. It's called anvispetrelocation.com. And you can reach out to us, and then we can help you out if you need anything. But we will probably come back with another session soon on a different topic, perhaps import of pets, or maybe we'll deep dive into one of these topics. So stay tuned, guys. Thank you so much. I hope you guys are having a good Sunday. Take care of yourselves, be safe, and see you soon.